Hello everyone, and look who's joined me.
Hello, my name's Diane Inch. I'm the Liberal Democrat representative for the ward of Norton North. I was a councillor for 10 years in Norton. I live in Norton and I've been married, lived here for 33 years. I have a son and I have one granddaughter, and I am a local activist.
Right.
Yeah.
Can I just say thank you so much for not only representing yourself but representing the Lib Dem voice in Halton and agreeing to come along on this changeable day. It's pretty worrying that we could get peed on any minute.
I know, but isn't this a wonderful open space?
It is.
Green open space. It's the biggest open space in Halton town park, and we've got one of our landmarks, which is the wonderful water tower. Yeah.
And you say you've lived here, was it 33 years?
Yes.
So you must be proud of what you've got on your doorstep and what the contribution you've done, because you've been a councillor for a long time, haven't you?
Well, I was a councillor for 10 years, and I lost my seat the year that Mr. Clegg signed with Mr. Borough, the Conservatives.
Yeah.
I had a majority that year before that election, of 1,500. The ward was two Liberal Democrats. It went down to, but for 10 years it was 3 Liberal Democrats. Then obviously Labour came in. They obviously, democracy rules. I was absolutely distraught when I lost my seat, because I felt it was my life, because I'm passionate. I'm an activist about the local area I live in, and I'm an activist about helping people right across the board. And when I was a councillor, we fought many things. We fought for the residents, for the swimming pools. It was going back maybe 15, 20, 17 years ago. It was either Brookvale or Norton. And obviously we were supporting the residents. Then obviously part of Sandymore and the area, we were helping and getting the information outright for the residents because of the custody suites.
Yeah.
And then obviously when we had 15 Liberal Democrat councillors in Halton, we were fighting against the Labour group because they were just following the lead of the Widnes, I call them the Widnes mafia, that everything had to go to Warrington, and the beds were being taken from Halton Hospital. I've helped people with repossession of houses, to help with the council tax, green bins, dog bins, right across the ward. I've been involved in quite a lot of charity work. I've been a governor of Moore Primary, Palacefield Primary, and it was the Park Primary. Been involved in Cubs, helping PTA when my son went to one of the local primary schools, and also I'm a chair of trustees of a community transport group that take all the vulnerable, the elderly, the disabled that can't access public transport. I go in there one day a week, and basically if I can help, I will.
This is not the first time I've met you. I've met you at an opposition group meeting, or was it the consultation?
Yeah.
And you had a lot of advice to give me on my posters, and you were talking. We stood in the car park for nearly an hour after finishing, and you just had this information, this drive to be involved, to help. And what is it about the opposite? What is it about the development that you disliked the most then?
It was written it was on the old unitary development plan. It's not called that now, over 25 years ago. And what I'm concerned at is the floodplain, because we have got an awful lot of marshland around that area. The road infrastructure, it concerns me. And an example was, I was taking the children one day last week, I think it was Tuesday morning, to school in the car, and there was been an accident at Preston Brook, and I counted in 12 minutes 97 cars coming through Wimbledon Avenue East. So I feel that the road infrastructure is not going to be enough.
No.
And when we went to that opposition thing that night, I don't think the council officers were very happy, or the lady, or helpful. Because when I asked where you get the little old person, which will be me eventually, ticking how many cars, they said that they had done a consultation in 2020. So I said, oh, so you counted the cars that weren't on the road when everywhere was on a national lockdown. That's good, isn't it?
That was funny.
And I got shunned away. And I said, you cannot base it on that. And you've got to give people the facts. Give people the facts to object. People signing, as I told you at the time, signing a petition is great, but that petition is only seen as one objection.
Yeah, that was an eye-opener to me.
You've got to be factual when you object. And I agree. I mean, it is a great space. I walk the children down the lane and we see the trains. And I go power walking with a friend 3 nights a week, and we go that way. We go up Gunny Hill. We go by the canal. And it's an amazing place. But what concerns me is the road infrastructure.
Yeah,
and we need to be constructive how we object, and so that the objections are counted.
Yes, exactly.
So, I agree that, we need more. We are lucky this end of Runcorn. We have got open space. I don't feel everything's been examined enough about the brown space to be built on.
There's plenty of that around.
Yeah. I just feel that the housing is not affordable. There's not enough affordable housing in Widnes.
By affordable, you mean real affordable?
Really affordable. Shared ownership, affordable housing for the people of Halton, because the average, I'm going back reading a government paper, the average, the minimum wage has gone up now, which is great. But people cannot afford the big deposits. Something's got to change. Everything's going through the roof. Poll tax. And yeah, I agree. It's a hard one. It really is a hard one. We've got to give the people the housing so that they stay in the area, because Halton is an ageing community. And if all our young people leave, then there's no money going back into the system to look after the elderly people.
Yeah.
I'm passionate about young children. I'm passionate about giving people the chances, treat people with respect, give people the information that is needed.
Yeah.
You will get the ruling party knock on your door saying that the Blues, and by the way, I'm not a blue of any description.
I know you've been making that plain to me as well.
I am a Liberal Democrat, and I am a local activist. I believe in what is local. I feel it empowers you local. You have more to say local than you do to say national.
Yeah.
I think you get civil servants who make these crazy decisions, not, the people are there to represent us, and I feel that voices aren't being heard.
Yeah.
Backtracking a little bit, I feel that there's not enough. I've walked through the park today. When I was a councillor, we started the Friends of Town Park so that the council could get match funding to make the areas a better place. And there's so many pools of water, because obviously the water table's high.
Yeah.
Because in Runcorn there is a natural borough of springs. And I feel on Waterford Farm, if the more building goes on there, then the canal and it's just going to overflow. And well,
it's like you can see it where Daresbury's getting developed now. Water just drips down. If you replace a sponge with a brick, it just runs over.
Yeah.
So you can imagine 1,000 more houses on Warford Farm area. It's just going to be just concrete, and it's going to raise the water.
And if it is, we all want a nice place to live in. put affordable housing in there for residents, so our youngsters are staying in the borough, that they're not having to move. I mean, I know a lot of them are moving out, but the science park is an amazing place. I don't know. I really don't know.
So you'd be happy with these houses if they were affordable or even social, but not at the rates they are?
I feel it should be equal access for all, and I've always had that. Disability houses, we haven't got many bungalows in the borough.
Yeah, actually,
We have got an awful lot of disabled people, a lot of people out in the area that have children that are disabled. Why aren't these builders building bungalows as well? Not just these monstrosity apartments, which is great for single people, but bungalows, and give people a little bit of green space to look after.
Yeah.
I mean, I just feel, I don't know, I just feel that our views aren't being listened to, and I don't feel that the information that is coming out is the right information.
Okay.
I also feel that give people the truth, people make their own minds up, that's fine. But I get upset when people say, oh, well, I'm not going out to vote because you're all the same. I'm not the same. I'm not a blue. I'm not a red. I'm a local activist and believe in local things. And what affects the people in Norton North or Halton affects me because I live here.
Yeah.
And I do take part in litter picks. And I do take part in, Friends of Town Park, where we've done litter picks and we've supported the council to get extra funding for the train park. We've done all kinds of initiatives. We fought hard to get the dog bins in and the bins in. We fought hard to make everything equal for everybody.
Yeah.
Right across the board, from people going to work with, affordable nursery, affordable childcare for parents to go to work and feel their children are safe and cared and loved and well cared for. Youth, I'm a qualified youth worker. I feel there's not enough for the youth to do from the local brownies, because there's so much more bureaucracy now.
Yeah.
I believe in children having the rights. I believe in elderly. I feel we fail the elderly of Halton, because, and that is another reason why I became a trustee, a volunteer trustee of Halton Community Transport. That I feel the elderly are the way to get to see a doctor now is like getting to see the Queen. But elderly felt lost, elderly felt left out, elderly felt cut off. I had my parents live 40 mile away, and my dad died 4 years ago, and I saw then what was out there for dementia, and dementia is killing. Well, 4 in 10 people now are getting dementia, and it's not recognised.
It's terrifying.
So you might even have someone who's got their own house, they're on their pension, and they're having to go into care, and that is heartbreaking for families, for partners, loved ones, and trying to find a social care facility for the parent, dementia, nursing homes. It's absolutely heartbreaking for anybody, and I just feel sometimes there should be like a little hub where you can say, this is where we need to go.
Yeah.
This is a good, here's a list of people, because I know when my mum was trying to find somewhere for my dad, and it was heartbreaking for my mum because they were soulmates, my mum and dad, and it was heartbreaking for my mum, heartbreaking trying to find somewhere. But unfortunately my dad died in hospital, and I did, because there was a passion for that ward. He died in Arrow Park. We as a family and friends, we raised over £3,500 for that ward for specialised stuff for dementia people, because people were going into care, into the hospital, and they were elderly, people on the ward when Dad died on, they didn't have families to care for them, they didn't have personal shaving stuff, they didn't have pyjamas, some of them. It's absolutely heartbreaking. The dedication of the staff on that ward was amazing, and this is why I believe in putting back into the community that you're part of. And I feel democracy is lost here now.
Yeah.
I feel that, I mean, I represent Halton Community Transport, and we were the only charity that had 50% of our budget cut. None of the other charities did. We're having to cut services. We do safer evening transport for people, but because elderly people, it's elderly, disabled, vulnerable adults, mums who want to just go swimming or go to the gym or wherever. We did all that, and I just feel that the ruling party, they said they've had their money sliced, but they're still keeping the Halton Stadium afloat. That's losing money every year. They're still keeping the swimming baths in Widnes open.
They're building a new one, aren't they?
Yeah.
By all accounts.
But that's losing money. Yeah. But they cut our budget. And I know decisions, they've got to make hard decisions, but they still gave themselves a pay rise, all the councillors.
Is that a pay rise that they've appointed to themselves, or is that national trickle down?
They have independent people, but it's an independent body, and they were given a pay rise. They didn't have to take it. None of the Liberal Democrat councillors have taken the pay rise, the increments. But they also get paid for outside bodies, outside, they get the vice chairs and chairs, and it is a hard job. I know it's a hard job, but I would help people for nothing. I think sometimes it gets a bit waylaid, and I sometimes feel that the ruling party, the scrutiny person, is still the ruling party. So it's like, as I've said in my leaflet that I've handed out, the ruling party could, if they want something through, it goes through on the rubber stamp. There's no democracy, and I believe in democracy.
So what you believe and what you want is more Lib Dem councillors, more mixture of people, cross party, maybe.
Cross party, Greens, Lib Dems, Independents. Even I just want the ruling party to be more accountable,
or held to account.
To account. And I just feel that they're not. Whereas when I was a councillor, I would put my leaflet out every 12 weeks and tell people what we'd done in the area. Communication with people. If you communicate with people right across the board, then that can diffuse a situation.
Definitely. If
people feel that they're being told the truth, and we're not being told the truth on national politics at all, on anything.
Not anymore. Well, it's gone terrible, isn't it? It's nuts.
I just feel that we have an amazing green space, and I'm involved in litter picks in all different areas, and not just that. I believe that people shouldn't be throwing rubbish on the floor. Take your rubbish home with you. I don't know. I'm just a normal person from a normal life, and I've lived here 33 years and loved every minute of it. And I've had a lot of stuff thrown at me over the years, but democracy rules, and I feel passionate about. We can't make a change if we don't get more opposition people in.
And if people don't bother to vote either.
Yeah, and get people accountable for the decisions that are made.
Yeah. Would you class yourself as humble?
Friends who know me, and when I was on the council, I'll have a voice when you need a voice. But I believe in giving people I was brought up, my brother and I were brought up that you give people the respect that they give you.
Yeah.
I've brought my son up that way, and he champions the cause, and my granddaughter, and I believe in chivalry. I believe in. I wouldn't say I'm humble.
It's just the way the way you're painting your achievements and stuff. It doesn't come across like you're shouting it as if it's look at me.
I should shout more, but I don't, because I do it because I want to do it.
Yeah.
I don't do it to be publicly. Oh, look what a wonderful person you are. No, I do it because I want to do it. I mean, we did. I'm a childcare provider, and we did last year. Halton Haven is an amazing place, and they were lacking in money because a lot of people giving to the NHS, what have you, Captain Tom's, which is amazing. And we did what we called a waddle walk, and we raised with the children over £550. And Halton Haven were so thankful for that. I believe I will do stuff, I will donate stuff. I'm always donating. My mum goes to an old age pensioners club where she lives, and I'll donate stuff to that, and I'll donate stuff to the schools, and I'll donate stuff, and if I can help in any way, I will, because that's what I'm like, because that's the way we've been brought up.
And you talked about chivalry there, so are you old school values like gentlemen, stuff like that?
I think it's lovely when a man opens a door for a woman. I always stand up, even though I'm getting older now, I will always stand up for an elderly person on a bus or on a train. I will, when I go out with my children, or when I go out, I always sort of take my turn, and I'm always, I believe in manners, I believe in etiquette, is that the word I'm looking for?
Yeah.
I just believe in giving people the respect.
As opposed to right now, it's all about me. Look at the social media generation.
Yeah, I'm a bit old-fashioned in me social media bits. I am on Facebook, I am on Instagram, but I just love watching some of the things on TikTok, some of the youngsters when they're dancing, and I don't know. I've just got into gardening, and I do quite a lot of crocheting. Sounds boring.
My ex is doing the same thing.
And I have I go out. My husband and I will go out, cinema, holiday. I love holidays. Love going to other parts of the world. I love everything. I love life in general.
Well, let's take it back to your core values, which is obviously Lib Dem. What is a Lib Dem value? Does that include social justice? Where is it on the political spectrum? Is it middle or is it left?
Well, as I say, I'm local, on local activists, and I'm not. As I've said to you, I'm a Liberal Democrat, and the reason I became a Liberal Democrat, I'm from a real red family. Red.
And were they surprised when you suddenly said Lib Dem?
And I do get a hard time sometimes off family, because I am yellow. But my brother's passionate about what he's passionate about. He's a real red, and I'm passionate about caring for people, caring about people's feelings, people's thoughts. I like to help people. I like to, that's what I'm about. Lib Dem, I felt let down by the Liberal Democrats when Nick Clegg signed a paper for the students to abolish fees.
Well, it wasn't just that. I mean, a lot of the people who said to me about Lib Dems, because I said I was going to be interviewing you, and they said the main betrayal was literally the fact they got into bed, in their quote, with the Conservatives abandoning the values of Lib Dem policy. So how did that make you feel at that time?
I feel... Hi.
Hello.
You're right. Yeah. I feel that year I worked my butt off for the residents, and I really felt we were in a good place because of the fees, because he'd signed the paper to freeze the fees. And then the next thing is, that night, I lost my seat. I had a 1,500 majority. I lost my seat. It wasn't me personally, but I took it personal. it was the fact that he'd gone into bed with the Conservatives. But no matter who was in power, and I think whoever through the pandemic was in power would have had a hard job.
Yes, definitely.
Hard job, no matter what.
Would have done the same, in my opinion. You would have done exactly the same.
We all go on about, they all go on about the Labour, and we've been Keir Starmer's going on, but no one talks about what Tony Blair did with us. No one talks about Tony Blair took us to a worthless war, and we lost an awful lot of our boys. And okay, the decision was made, so we had to stand by it, but send our boys out with the proper equipment. We weren't even doing that.
No.
So I think there's bits of all different political parties, and that's what I like about the Liberal Democrats. There's bits of all of it that if you could have a perfect party, you'd have bits.
Well, you'd have a middle ground, and that's what, because my mum was a typical Lib Dem supporter, and her opinion is that Lib Dems should be what everyone should be, which is down the middle, straight, conversations between the two, but you always meet a middle ground.
I think a lot of it in politics now is, I think what people feel now, from what Jeremy Corbyn did, to what Tony Blair did, to what Boris has done, to what the Chancellor of the Exchequer has done, what Clegg did, I think people are disheartened. I knew of friends who's abided by all the rules on the lockdown, whose loved ones were in hospital and they were dying, and they abided by all the rules. My mum had no carers. My mum lived 40 miles away. The decision was made. I wasn't working, so I was going down to help with my mum, because my mum was a real activist, a real red activist, but she was poorly. She's had cancer. She got one lung, but she's a real independent woman, and that's the way we were brought up. But chivalry as well, and manners and communication, and watch your P's and Q's, and please, and open the door. And my dad was this perfect gentleman. My husband's a gentleman. My son's a gentleman. But I feel things are lost now. I don't know. I'm lost as well. Not lost, that's the wrong word.
No, look, you've still got your core values of Lib Dem. And I suspect all the candidates I've interviewed so far have got their core values too. But because the national parties have sort of gone mental, it's overshadowing your message.
The thing is, about Liberal Democrats, the Greens said the Labour are all whipped into place. They are. The Greens, are passionate about the environment, and I think everyone in their own way is.
Well, can I ask, where does Lib Dem and Greens agree with each other?
I think about me personally. We all got together as a local party and local guidance and local rules, and I've put a leaflet through the area where I live.
Yeah.
And I brought one with me because I'm struck, not to say to you, but our core values are to push free access for the bridge for everybody. Now, when I say that, people who work in the area, the bridge is expensive.
Yeah.
So if we're wanting to bring industry to the area, if you work in the area, you should get it subsidised.
Yeah.
Also, we don't like to say it, but there are houses, if you've got in your house 4 children, 2 kids, 2 adults, and your bridges, your bridge pass, but you could have a company car. You could be a rep, you could have a company car. NHS workers have company cars now. And when I say that, through their salary schemes.
Yeah.
Up till now, it's not been, the bridge sort of thing. And the new bridge has brought a lot to the area.
Yeah.
Better healthcare for residents, including accessible for all. So the likes of our buses, get them out more.
Yeah.
But elderly people, vulnerable people, they're all staying in more. Push for a better deal for home carers. Now, when I say that, my mum never wanted for anything. Very proud people. But you're getting an awful lot of an elderly husband, my need caring, and the wife chooses in a lot of cases to care for them. But there's no, a lot of them don't want help, but there's not an awful lot of help out there for them. Let's have a hub that signposts people. And it's all right saying, well, we've got the direct link. Yeah, we have, but it's like trying to get a letter from God. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the other things protect our green belt. I'm passionate about that.
What does that mean, protect the green belt? Or green spaces, green fields, or how would you like to say it?
Spaces, protect it as much as we can. When I say that, let's exhaust all the brownfield sites before we give prime. And I know it's written in the unitary development plan, but also if we're having to build, look at the areas, look at the flood zones, look at the road infrastructure. Great, all these houses going up, but there's no road infrastructures in them.
The one thing I've noticed is that people are moving into the area from outside, adding to the population, but there's no real facilities for
Cohesion.
them. Well, I say cohesion too, but I think a lot of the residents who are currently in like Norton Cross and on the Marina Village area in particular are very concerned about the sheer amount of people and cars and everything all into that one place.
Well, as I said to you before, I took the children's last week, and there's been loads of roadworks at Preston Brook, and the Aldi and everything is great. The industry is great, brilliant. But put the road infrastructure in. Put the road, 97 cars out while I was stationary, waiting to come. It's like a rat run.
Yeah,
so they're all gonna. The roads are not. There's that many bumps and loopholes.
Yeah.
You know, and where they're wanting to build, you know, I know they're builders and I know they're putting the plans in, but they're not actually telling people. You know, they can say, oh, we'll do affordable housing. A builder only has to build 2 houses that's affordable for it to be gone through. I remember when I was a councillor, we tried for Broadfield up here.
Yeah.
It's on a bit of a hill, and the road wasn't adopted when we came to be councillors. That took us absolute months and months and months because the gritter wasn't going down there. People couldn't get their cars up to go to work. People couldn't work. I'd be out with the grit and helping of a morning to get the ice. It took us Plover Drive down the bottom. It's all right, and they give like a confidence, these builders, but you try and get them back to do the finishing touches. It takes months and months and months. If you can inform residents, if you can keep residents up to date with accurate information, it diffuses a situation.
Well, I know for my experience is that people themselves have to be proactive, because it's all well and good you saying this and me doing this, but you have to go out and do stuff, don't they?
I put a leaflet out, what we used to call Canal Side. I paid for a leaflet myself and delivered 2,500 after I'd been to the residents meeting down on Sandy.
I was knackered after that. I don't know how you had the energy.
I did it and I gave people the facts, and I still have people now obviously ring me, and I will help anybody, and I just say, well, we've signed, and that's why I became a member of all these groups on Facebook. Give people the facts. That Mike Ainsbury, who's the MP, he's the shadow minister for housing.
Well, he was. Has he been? Is that changed now? Because I know he's got another job now. Because I interviewed him at the time he was, which was great. But I think he's changed since.
He's also got things that he has to do.
Yeah. He
has a whip that he has to do. But getting back to the Liberal Democrats, we're not whipped the way that, you know, as a local party. We're entitled to our opinions. But
so you're in a similar way to the Greens. You can stand, but have your own opinion, have your own drive, focus.
But we have, as I said to you, we have got local sort of stuff. And support. The thing that I'm for is supporting changes to planning rules to allow councils to have a final say on local planning applications. But if we allow the planners, we allow the councils to do it, it's got to be more democracy.
Yeah.
So we're in a situation where the ruling party, there's no democracy. they could put a chocolate teapot up and they'd get in. Do you know what I mean? And it's boys, it's job for the boys. I'm passionate for what I believe in. I'm passionate about the green open space. This is a magnificent open space, biggest part in Halton. And I think, you know, what upsets me is I feel Widnes gets everything, and I've always said that, and Runcorn doesn't get anything.
Every time I see anything go somewhere, it goes to Widnes, and even when it does go to Widnes, it's not very well planned out. It all seems to be a bit of a mess, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, Halton Stadium's great. It's a great stadium. I mean, I've been there to many a do, mayor's dues and everything, and it's an amazing place. But that's costing £750,000 a year for the people of Halton to keep, and the swim baths they've got, which is that's £1 million.
Just to keep it ticking over.
Right. Which is, you know, which is in public record. But the council then, we had Halton, the red buses that Halton owned.
The Halton Transport.
Not Halton Community Transport, we're a charity.
Yes, Halton Transport was the red ones. Yeah.
That obviously has been bought out by Warrington. We had 4 Labour councillors on there, and the council lent them £300,000. It's in public record. And they signed the account off, and then 3 weeks later they went bust. But all the people that lost their jobs, you know.
And I think
they'll give £300,000 to that, and all that in Widnes, but they won't give Halton Community Transport, you know, because our budgets, and they give themselves a pay rise. I think it's immoral and it's wrong.
Right. The thing about the drivers was that I think I remember Arriva stepping in, did they?
And Warrington buses did as well.
So that's a private enterprise, isn't it? Intervening and helping.
The Halton buses were partly owned by the council, but that was run by a committee. But there was 4 Labour councillors on there that they got extra money for being on there, which is part of the role, I know. But I just.
What's the biggest bugbear then? If Halton Borough Council, the one thing you want them to change, what would it be? What would make you happy to see changing?
I want more democracy. I want more opposition. I want more accountability. I just feel that I don't feel that they communicate enough with people. No. I think the Norton North guys now are doing it because they've had to do it. They've got to do it. But they've not been around canvassing, because I know a lot of people in Norton North, they've not been around canvassing. I'm going out. I've had some help from friends doing a leaflet, and after I finish this interview, I've got the bottom part to do. I'm not a candidate that has got parents who are Labour councillors. I'm a person. I'm not a Tory. I'm just me. Yeah. As I say to you, I've got a lot of family who are Reds. I just believe in what is right for people. Yeah. And I feel that people should have their say. Yeah. And I will take that say. I mightn't, as I used to say to residents, I mightn't come back with the answer you want, you know, why that footpath's not being cut down. But I will come back with an answer. And I'm like a dog with a bone when I get hold of something. You know, this train is an asset to this.
It's a beautiful asset, isn't it?
But they wanted originally to move this from here over to Widnes.
What?
Yes.
When was this?
Oh, a few years ago. But
what work could they put it in Widnes?
Yeah, but why aren't there anything like Victoria Park, and you know, where we've got the community, you know, the community where you can go and have a nice coffee and a cake, and it's all the open spaces in Halton are amazing. Gunny Hill, I walk down there, the canal, Peel Holdings. I'm concerned with the new building, the infrastructure, and I know the decisions have been made, but let's get the best for the people. The road infrastructure, affordable housing, more rights for carers, more early year provision, more elderly provision.
So you're alongside the Mike Ainsbury point of view, which is what's it called now? When you build appropriately, so you're appropriate housing in appropriate areas and not against it per se.
I'm not against the £600,000 houses going in. I'm not against £60,000 houses, but I would like more bungalows.
Yeah.
Because we are an ageing community, and we have got an awful lot of disabled people in the area. We have got, and maybe, I mean, I'm over 55 now, more over 55, so that we can free up some of the bigger houses. We've got some elderly people that have lived in their houses, brought their families up, and still living there because they can't get a bungalow.
Yeah. So thanks for bringing that up, actually, because I know what property pool's like at the moment, and if you wanted to swap a house for a smaller property, you're only going to get a flat, and it's not good for disabled and elderly, is it?
No, it's not. And I think, putting an elderly person in a 4th floor flat with no lift, okay, they've offered the person a flat, but how do the elderly person get up and down the stairs?
Or they have to wait until something comes up.
But on the social housing list, and I hate this saying, council house or social housing list.
Yeah,
to me,
that's what it is, isn't it?
Yeah, but the proper term is the social housing list. There's not enough bungalows, and
yeah, I agree.
2-bedroom bungalows. There's not enough affordable housing. You've got landlords now being really greedy that properties have gone up, which is good for the area because there's more people coming into work. But it's silly. There's no chance for youngsters getting a house, affording one. I would like more shared ownership.
Ding ding, so would I.
I would like more shared ownership, but I'd also like the shared ownership, the rent side, not to be extortionate for the people.
Well, the shared ownership I'm going to apply for, is in Halton Road. They're building some nice ones there, and the shared ownership is either 50 or it's 60% or whatever, and it's about 80 grand, 90 grand shared ownership. So I could afford that, or affordable, isn't it?
That's more affordable, because that would be a 2-bedroom house, but more affordable housing, that sort of housing. I mean, I was on the council where they did the regeneration of Castlefields, and it's absolutely amazing.
It's brilliant.
Amazing what they've done. Affordable housing for people, and I think there should be more of that as well.
Yeah.
There's room for everything in Halton, and that's the nice thing about it. Waterford Farm, that concerns me is the marshland and the water table and the road infrastructure. And I'm only concerned about that because it's down the bottom of the hill. And it's like, I was one of the houses that, don't know if you remember 2 years ago, the water tower burst. It was a pipe that went in the middle of the field, the horses field. And I remember residents, I wasn't a council then, residents ringing me, Diane, and it was slow coming down. Now you think it'd go down the hill, but it didn't. It came round to where we were. Now the water board were great. I personally, they were great. They repaired everything. They had the people out. They called that a national fatality, Cobra, what have you. The fire brigade were in, the police, what have you. It was great, and they soak up afterwards. But I remember that, and I feel that, the floodplain down on, you've got the 2 canals. No one said to me yet, no one has said anywhere, I mean, it's not come in, has it? The builders and the water board, they don't have to tell you. Nobody's telling me that, the 1800s canals that have been built, which are picturesque and fantastic, aren't going to overflow with all the concrete that's going in.
They could, and it's the Keckwick that's the main concern, because that drains in. They've built a purpose-built reservoir on 2 separate locations, which they believe is going to be able to cope. But with the climate change stuff, with the brand new houses that are going onto Walford Farm, because they weren't planning on doing that originally, it was just Sandy Moor, and now Daresbury, you're changing your plan, so that means more water is not going to sink in.
It won't be. We all know the top of the hill, water runs down.
Yeah.
It's not up by the Daresbury Hotel, all those big very nice houses they're going to be built.
Very
and
nice houses indeed.
It's further down the hill, Catwick Lane, because it's a hill.
Yeah.
But yet again, road infrastructure, going into Broadfield, going into Plover, they were the newest when I was on the council. Getting the, and I know the ice van cannot go in everywhere, small roads, but it took a lot of persuasion for them to go on the main Broadfields bit so that people could get their cars up to go to work, nurses, carers, teachers, people from the council. You know, there's an awful right across when the snow has been really bad, us getting down Tower Lane.
Yeah, it's not
we
good.
are the highest point in Runcorn, so it's like when it's icy up here, it's like Narnia. So you'd be icy up here going down the hill, and you're taking a chance when the gritter hasn't been out, but down the bottom of the hill it'll all be melted.
Yeah.
So it's wonderful and picturesque, but
it's also a pain in the ass.
and it's quite dangerous for people as well.
Yeah.
You know, but yet again, that is something I'm passionate about, is equal ops for all.
Yeah.
Equal ops for all, from someone who can't get the dog bin empty because they can't, they're responsible dog owners putting the bin in, the rubbish in, to fly tipping, to helping somebody because they've been mistreated by a landlord, or can't afford to pay their poll tax, or can't get the children into a local school, or you know, wanting the street lights fixed. I feel a local empowerment of care for the area you live in. Yeah. And I feel that the Liberal Democrats are the party that do that for the residents. You know, people have different commitments because everything's gone up now.
Yeah.
You know,
it's going to go up even higher, isn't it?
Yeah, it's going to go through the roof. I would hate to owe anybody any money at all, because I just feel these utility companies are going to harm people. Yeah. And you might have an elderly person, Castlefields, Palacefields, Wimble Hill, Medshore, own their own house up here, Daresbury, Santymore, but they've got a basic pension to live on. And if you've got your pension of £168, whatever it is you've paid all your life, and your poll tax is above D, that's £250 plus
already
every month. How are they supposed to live? And we're not talking about going out clubbing it, we're not talking about going out for meals, we're just talking about putting food on the table, we're talking about heating. It should not come to a mum of three, family low paid, nurses. I'm just picking these out of the air. Oh, should we eat tonight, or should we the electricity? Should we heat the house? It should never, not in the 21st century.
No.
You know, no
not in a
way.
so-called ethical country.
No, not the way that.
It gets you riled up, doesn't it? I can see how you're getting a bit.
You know what? I'm not. Am I a royalist? I believe in respect. You saw the Queen the day that Prince Philip died on her own.
Oh, do you
but
mean
then,
in the church?
yeah, in the church, and obviously one of her children went to care for her, and one of the good people said no, you can't. And then Boris is at a party in Downing Street. But you know, if we're being honest, I think a lot of people broke the rules. I mean, Keir Starmer, didn't he have chips or something in
I know he had a wine drinking thing in a house somewhere, and he was pictured through a front window or something.
We had the Scottish woman, Nicola
said
said, we've all done it, you know. We've all
It's because the rules did not make any sense. They were flip-flopping all over.
I think if you look at anything anyway, I think going through this pandemic was hard for any Prime Minister, but they've all made mistakes.
Do you think we should move on from it all? The Partygate thing? Move on because we've got bigger fish to fry with Russia?
I'm worried about Russia.
It's a no-win scenario, whichever way you look at it.
I know, but you know, I think media don't tell the whole truth anyway.
No, I agree. Media's manipulated.
Media are manipulated. I was on the council 13 years ago, And I made a statement, because you're big doesn't mean you're not healthy, and I am healthy. I am a healthy person, and I eat regular healthy, try and lead a good life. And I was sold down the river because I had a bowl of fruit, and it went national. Papers, because I wasn't this slim person that should have been like a Kardashian that was holding a bowl of fruit, I was manipulated. And I just feel sorry for anybody who just steps out of the middle, who has an opinion that isn't right in society.
Yeah, because you're castrated. If you don't, again, whip yourself into a line, you get.
I believe that's why I became a Liberal Democrat, because when we moved to the area 33 years ago, my husband worked at Guinness, and we moved to the area, and I remember getting in touch with the Reds. They weren't interested. They were our local councillors. All we wanted was a bin collection, because we moved in the area and it wasn't on the bin round yet. And I remember the Liberal Democrats were the ones who got us the bins. And I used to deliver leaflets for them, and then I got a bit more involved, and that's what I'm passionate about. And they all most of them live in the wards they represent.
As a matter of principle.
It is something that we do take serious.
It's not that you've moved to the ward to be a councillor.
No,
you live here, and that's always been the case.
Yeah. And you will find most Liberal Democrats will put their address, will put ownership to their voting paper. They will put an address. They will not hide behind not having their address. There's 5 people standing in Norton, and 3 have put their names, their addresses. 2 haven't. 2 path, 2. So do they live in the ward? Don't they? I don't know, and I don't. But I just think you should stand up and be counted. And I'm from Wallasey originally, born in Liverpool. Went to school, went to a Catholic comp. Tried my best at school. Was brought up by parents who worked hard all their lives. Brought us that you treat people with respect, treat people how you'd like to be treated yourself, use your manners when you can, and help people. And my dad had a saying, you come in with nought, you go out with nought, and you work hard for everything you've got.
Yeah, that's great.
And that's what I've done. And I would like people to give me a chance. People who know me know I'm like a dog with a bone, and I will work for everybody right across the board. And I am strong in opinions, but I mightn't always get the answer you want at that time. But we need democracy in Halton, and we need more opposition.
Yeah.
And I'm a local activist. I am a Liberal Democrat. Yeah, I'm a paid member of the Liberal Democrats. But as I said to you, the things that I'm interested in, I put my name to things, and it's free access for the bridges, campaign for better air quality, promote health care for residents, including accessibility for all, work for the best education for all groups right across the board, push for the better deal for home carers. So, when you think about it, how many people look after parents, brothers, sisters, dementia is a big thing. Protect the green belt. I'm passionate about the green areas. We are sitting in one of the biggest open space in Halton, listening to the birds.
It's beautiful, isn't it?
Protect the green belt. I know the decision's been made, or has it,
Well, I know that in principle it's been since the 70s. I don't think you can stand by that, because principles can be changed depending on
Principles can be changed. It's whether or not the ruling parties have enough pressure to change it.
From yourself, whoever's in charge.
And we're never going to change that while we don't have democracy in Halton.
Yeah.
I feel the democracy went, and I agree. I feel we were sold down the river. I had a son going through university at the time when he sold the students down the river. He signed the paper, and then, and I know the decision had to be made because there was no one out ruling party, and it's been hard for Mr. Boris Johnson at the moment, because it'd be hard for anybody. But if we're looking at history, Mr. Blair took us into a war that we shouldn't have gone into.
Yeah, that's what killed Labour.
Yeah.
But made them uncredible. Lib Dems uncredible because they jumped into bed with the Tories, and then the decision on tuition fees, which killed that, and now the Tories are doing it with this.
Locally
is different.
Locally is democracy, and it'd be like if the Lib Dems were. I mean, the Lib Dems were in Liverpool with the ruling party for a long time, but they did a lot of good. They did do a lot of good there, and then I look at what I feel Widnes gets everything, and runcorn doesn't.
So you want a balance, and you think like the city region question I've been bringing up a lot, that's going to balance things out.
The city region is concerns me because we are the only ones in the city region where our elderly people do not get the OAP pass at 60.
Right.
So Wirral, St Helens, Knowsley, Liverpool, they all get a pass at 60. I'm 60 next year. For the local transport. Yeah. We are the only ones that don't get it.
Is that because we're still sort of a suburb of it? We're sort of not quite absorbed into the whole thing.
I don't know. City region. I'm not totally convinced it's good or bad.
This is what I've been trying to say this to the other candidates. Do you think it's a good idea for further integration? I tend to not like the idea of accountability being stripped away to a more distance.
I used to work in Liverpool when it was all Liverpool County Council, and it was a big council then. And we were part of Cheshire County Council. And I just feel that sometimes local Halton is the smallest borough, and with the runcorn especially, is we're over the bridge, and I just feel that it's like a nodding muppet.
Yeah.
I don't know if I've got any.
I mean, it's still new to me because I've been asking this question to all of people about the Liverpool City region. I still don't fully understand the benefits or the pros or cons of being in the city region. I talk to a lot of people who either dislike or like it.
Pro or con. Con is against, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Why? If we're part of it and we're paying our poll tax for the city mayor, who's a joke. We're paying our money to Cheshire Police and whatever. I feel that police should be more. They used to have police surgeries. It's not advertised enough.
No, again, that information.
The police are there with their speed guns, and they should be there with their speed guns, doing people. But there's lots of things. Get involved with community stuff.
Yeah.
I was on the police liaison panel when I was on the council, and I got involved a lot. The police were fed up with me because I used to go to all the meetings and say, this is what residents want, this is what have you. I just believe in democracy.
Yeah.
And I don't feel at the moment there is enough. I feel the ruling party, the Widnes mafia I call them, but I've always called them that. I feel that, I was at a mayor's ball about 12, 13, 14 years ago, and all our staff were on 90 days notice at the time. And I remember somebody bringing to my attention that there was Labour councillors drinking champagne on the borough. And it was a story in the papers years ago. And I got myself into a lot of trouble because I went up to the chair of quite a lot of people. I was involved, and I went to the leader of the council and the leader of the Labour group at the time. I said, he's got to pay for that. He's got to pay for that because we've put our staff on 90 days notice, and I was shouted a lot of abuse, but that's the type of thing that I believe in morally. Yeah. Have champagne, get engaged, but pay for it.
Yeah.
Because you shouldn't be drinking champagne, it's many years ago, on public money.
Yeah.
I believe in, if you're going to, I was part of the mayor, no matter what mayor was in, I would get involved in all the local charities, the mayor's charities, and that's why I'm passionate about helping in the area I live in.
Yeah, I've noticed. Obviously, you get involved in active campaigns quite often, and you're really good at getting your voice heard and going, if I can help you, I'll help you and stuff like that. And there's a couple of campaigns, like you said, the incinerator, and someone mentioned to me there was a development near Norton Cross. I don't know what it's called. Is it Wakefield or farm? It's like a farm area that's been built on. Do you know anything about that?
Elywood Farm?
I think it might well be, yeah.
Yeah, I worked for the residents there.
And
yeah.
what was that about?
It was a farm.
Yeah.
And it's just round on Elywood Lane. It was a farm, and residents, we had concerns about the building that was going on there, and obviously the infrastructure of all the, the lorries and different things, and they weren't indicating and what have you. And the builder was fed up with me. The custody suite, I worked hard for the residents down on Sandymore, because that was part of Norton then, because they had concerns where the custody suite was. So I was working on behalf of them, getting the facts so that they could object, because everyone was signing.
What was the objection? Was it to not go ahead, or that scale it back? Or
how could they put it where they were putting it, right by housing development, Rudheath Lane, what have you. But, there were lots of things brought in, like the taxis had to, when the naughty people, no, you can't say naughty, can you? When the people were being shafted in, shafted out, I had some very heated discussions with planners, because you have to give people, you have to give people the facts. And people were just signing a petition. I said, no, that's just seen as one objection. You need to sign, you need to be factual, And
so is that why those campaigns faltered or didn't go anywhere?
That's why the campaigns did work, because we were giving them accurate information to object with. I mean, the plan, the Unitary Development Plan, was made from the Runcorn, the new town, 35 years ago. But as you said, it can be changed. But the road infrastructure is not right. The roads coming out onto Wimmel, by Runcorn East Station and what have you. I mean, we worked hard, because residents, they wanted traffic calming going in the bottom of Tower Lane. The stuff that goes on, the bureaucracy and what have you. You've got to give people the facts.
Well, this is the thing. It is all well and good saying the facts, but if it doesn't stop it, what can we do better then? With this opposition's going on there, can be better done?
I just feel if there was more opposition, then council officers will, obviously, stuff coming to the area will help the builders, but they should be helping the residents as well. Is that a right way to object? So, yet again, a little bit of an information hub, bit like Halton Direct Link, but you've got to have a letter from God to get in there. Do you know what I mean? So many people, and what I find frustrating is people work full time. You ring the gas board, and but they'll only accept it after 5 o'clock at night. So if you want to do a meter reading after 5 o'clock at night, so you're having to take a day off, but they're all supposed to be here, working. And how long do we keep blaming this pandemic for?
Yeah, well, that's another thing altogether, because they're all making that excuse whenever you want to talk to someone. It's all, we can't.
You're trying to get an appointment at your own GP for a checkup. You could ring. And you could have to ring at 8 o'clock in the morning. So you ring at 8 o'clock. Everything's gone for today. So that's why people are going to the out of hours, because they can't. It's just communication. It's giving clear information to people. My doctors now has said, if you need a repeat prescription, we're not taking emails anymore. You've got to do it on the NHS app. What if you've got an elderly person? My mum hasn't got one of the iPhones. My mum's got the old Android one. She can't do it. Yeah. So, there's a lot of elderly people. There's a lot of disabled people. There's a lot of people that can't do that.
Yeah. And they're left behind by
Yeah,
the whole thing.
yeah. So let's communicate more.
Yeah.
And let's have tourist information. You know, not list upon list and not your opinion. You know,
in the scheme in the topic of the development, the whole thing is that it's a private thing. It's citizens who are doing all this opposition stuff and that, and you've got some MPs sort of helping out and councillors sort of helping out.
We'll agree to differ.
But
on that.
the thing is, it's
We'll
all us, isn't it?
on that. You know, I've not had any. Anything with the local MPs. I know Derek Twigg, if I've ever needed help or even residents come to me now and I'll say, Derek Twigg's your MP. I do know when I've said to them, go and see him. He is very good at, you know, doing that. Give Derek Twigg that. He is approachable. I just don't think the councillors, and we're not talking about the pandemic, we're talking about the 8 years before. Yeah. You know, the councillors I don't think are as accessible as they used to be.
I mean,
pro-pandemic, we're talking about like 2019, we used to have 2 surgeries and one of us would always turn up at the surgery, and Lib Dems do that. I don't know about anyone else. I'm always on the end of the phone. I don't know. I just know by communication with what I do. My trustees meeting once a month and we communicate with our residents on community transport, and the ethos of the trustees and all the staff and the volunteers is to do the best of the vulnerable, the disabled, the impaired, people that can't access anything. Let's get, you know, an elderly person going to have the hair done at the hairdressers once a week is so important.
Yeah.
You know, going to a doctor's appointment, a lot of elderly people go on fresh stuff. You know, let's do that. Let's invest in more. Yeah. And I just feel you know, the Labour group are saying, well, we've got to, because they're the ruling party, we've got to cut 19 million. I think it was 19 million I read from the budget. Yeah, but they're not talking about the 750,000 that they're giving to Halton Stadium, which I think it's a great stadium. The 250,000 in Widnes again for the swimming baths, but they're thinking of closing the swimming baths in the old town.
Yeah, I heard that. Yeah.
You know,
and replacing it with what?
Yeah, the £50,000. No, was it? They've cut from charities. Just things don't sit right with me. But if we don't have opposition, then we can't challenge them, because even if all opposition crewed together, you've got to have 9 to bring something to be debated in the council chamber. There's only 6 opposition members now, so at least when we were councillors and we had 15, we used to put an alternative budget in. They'd laugh us all the way out of the chamber. I sometimes think the council officers have too much say, and I'm going to get myself hung for that, I think, because, you know, we are the smallest borough and we had the chief exec, and he was one of the highest paid chief execs in the country. You know, nice guy, but, you know, nothing was ever challenged. No.
So I'm going to wrap this up now, because we could chat forever, as always. You're always very interesting people. It's good to have a Lib Dem voice here and to hear your thoughts on it. So let's just talk about, just briefly, Lib Dem core values and what's missing now from Lib Dem and what you can bring to this new, let's say you get elected. Or... Well,
as I said to you at the beginning, I'm more local.
Yeah.
Passionate about local stuff. I don't know. I think really Lib Dem, you know, they are believers in renewable energy. They're believers in the green space. They're believers in you know, more health, you know, better health stuff. They're all rounders, really.
Yeah.
You find most of the MPs are all rounders. I've met the one, what was his name? I can't even remember his name. We had a photo session with him. They're approachable people.
Yeah.
They are approachable people. They're everyday sort of people. And that's really all I can say.
Yeah.
I believe in an awful lot of the stuff. The thing I felt also for was my personal opinion, and it's my selfish opinion. I feel us coming out the EU was sacrificial. I feel that was, my opinion was that coming out, because at least we had the EU initiative. So if a lorry driver could only work with his taco 10 hours and he had to rest up. But now, if these businesses are now going to say, no, you're driving 14 hours, then, they're going to have to do it. Doctors, our NHS is one of the leading in the world. Doctors used to have to rest after 35-hour week. Now, pro-pandemic, it's just silliness now.
Well, surely we can change that ourselves and through democracy.
I'd like to think so.
Yeah.
I'd like to.
Me too.
So, but we've got the Conservatives. They don't have to.
Well, they've got a majority, haven't they? So
they've got a majority. I just think he's a baboon.
Well, that's the point, isn't it? Deflect. It's like what Rich said from the Green Party. He's very interesting. He's been elected as a leader of the Conservatives, but he's a buffoon which distracts from the stuff they're doing in the background.
Yeah, I think this thing with the immigrants coming in and shipping them off to a part of Africa is absolutely awful.
But we've got to do something, haven't we? Well, let's touch on that then, because I know they're being housed up in Daresbury at the moment. And what would you do in that situation? You're a leader, and you had to make this choice of what to do with these people who are coming over. They've got to go somewhere.
I know they've got to go somewhere, but then it's only family, it's only women and children that they're not shipping out. I don't know what the answer is. I think all political parties should sit down around a table, all of them, Scottish, Welsh, Tories, Lib Dems, Labour, and you know what? All have a united policy.
Yeah.
Because it's heartbreaking right across the board.
Yeah.
The Ukraine situation. The Ukraine people don't want to be here. No. They want to be in their own country. They want to be there. Yeah. They want to be there. They want to, I think it's a dog-eat-dog world. I think we're now in a world where what affects me is just me, and it's a blame situation.
Yeah, it's over there.
That dog's done over there. Well, let's walk this way. Or, our elderly people, how, decisions are made. Well, that elderly person's got to pay X amount of money, and that elderly person doesn't, and that elderly person goes there, and that elderly person doesn't, and that school, you've got to go there, and you've got it's just, and I know there's got to be decisions made, but I just think we're in a strange world.
It's clown world.
Yeah.
Well, things that should be right or not.
Used to say, it's not the dog that wags the tail, it's the tail wagging the dog.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I love your dad's sayings. He sounds like a really great guy.
He was an old 88-year-old seaman from Liverpool. And the tales and the things that he would tell me and my cousins and my brother and even my son, his grandsons, he was brought up and what have you. It breaks your heart. It really does. It breaks your heart for elderly people. But dementia is hitting, whereas they seem to be getting a grip of some cancers now. Dementia now. There's not enough specialised nursing homes for dementia. Yeah. That is the new one coming in now. There's not enough nursing homes. And now, There's all different dementias, but it's, you know, it's heartbreaking. Absolute
It's a terrible, terrible disease. Terrible disease.
That is killing more people now than cancer. But there's lots of help out there for cancer, and rightly there should be help out there for everything.
But the thing is, cancer is tangible. It's something that's real for many people. But then dementia, it's sort of over in the background. It sizzles away, and then suddenly it's heartbreaking for the family and immediate family to go through that distress of seeing someone they love just stripped away.
It's heartbreaking.
It's terrible.
Absolute heartbreaking, because I used to work full time, and then I'd go over to support my mum, because my dad was what they called a runner, where he'd go back to when he was young, and a door was open and he would try and leg it with a bag. He was going back to sea. So I would actually be there to sit with him to give my mum a break, because she would not, very proud woman, she would not have anybody in to look after him. It was her, and I just feel there should be more care out there for, more support out there for carers as well.
Well, can I just say thank you before I wrap up? Thank you so much for bringing up the elderly position. You know, where you're helping the elderly. You're the first person to actually bring that up. The care we need to focus on the elder generation.
We are an ageing borough. End of. Yeah. That is factual. So thank you ever so much for. Well,
let's because I finish this all the time. What do you? How do people get in touch with you? How do people support you?
Well, I've got my addresses on the ballot paper. Mm-hmm. My mobile phone number. Look at the dog. My phone number is out there. Hi. Hiya. People can email me on Diane Inch 34@gmail.com. Mm-hmm. My mobile number's out there as well. My landline number's out there. A lot of people know me because the surname Inch is not. I'm married into it, but the surname Inch is not a common surname, and you know, and that's it. Well, I live in the area. The thing about me is I live in the area that I would like to represent.
Thank you so much for sitting out here in the chilliness, on an uncomfortable chair, and talking to me openly and honestly. And I hope the campaign goes well.
I hope people make that right decision. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. See you later, everyone. Wave.
Bye.